Hi, it's Keir Finlay-Bates here, and some of you are going to be thinking, well, that's all very well, Keir. In the last two videos you've talked about philosophy and friends and blathered on a bit about altruism and stuff like that. When are you actually going to get to some nuts and bolts? So we'll start on that in this video by looking at the incentivization in Bitcoin. And it boils down to one simple thing, which is that the miners, the computers that are being run in order to secure the network and ensure that the Bitcoin public open blockchain actually remains a trustworthy single view of the truth of a balance of ownership of the individual Bitcoins and Satoshis, are basically given coin in the actual system. And this is brilliant. This is the crux of the whole thing, which is that the very people who are ensuring that the system remains safe are getting rewards within that system. And it reminds me a bit of Nassim Taleb's book Skin in the Game. The foundation on which Bitcoin is based is on having skin in the game. And that's pretty powerful. If people out there are putting money into buying hardware and burning electricity in order to secure the system, they're going to be very, very angry if it turns out that the system isn't secure. So although a 51% attack is a real threat to the Bitcoin system, the fact is the incentive system means that really, from an economic point of view, it's not in the interest of any serious miner or mining pool to subvert the system, because the risk of upsetting the apple cart and losing everything is very, very real to them. Now, I was asked back in 2016 by someone, what do you think the biggest threat to Bitcoin is? And at that point, I kind of said tongue-in-cheek, but I think maybe now it has more meaning, that the only real threat that I saw to Bitcoin was that some eccentric billionaire with a passionate hatred of Bitcoin would pour money into building lots and lots of miners and subverting the system just out of spite. And I think another thing to think about here is the fact that there's evidence that Satoshi Nakamoto actually had, I think it was 58 computers running and mining on the system at the very beginning. And I don't think he was doing that in order to try and scoop up all the Bitcoins, because he hasn't, or she hasn't spent them. But it does suggest to me that Nakamoto was pretty aware of the fact that at some point in the future there were going to be more and more machines running on this system and groups, and I wouldn't be surprised if Nakamoto had some inkling of the future existence of mining pools and ASICs and stuff like that. I think the indications are all there. That actually harks back a bit to the crypto archaeology video that I posted earlier. Anyway, seem to have wandered off. Let's go back to the incentive thing, and that's the thing. It's a really simple incentive system. Give the miners a chunk of a reward in the system, and that is the foundation that secures the Bitcoin system. And therefore, if you are looking at a blockchain system on a, say, corporate level for business to business transacting, you're going to have to look at Bitcoin and think about, how can I take such an incentivization system and move it over into the corporate level? And that'll be the topic of the next video. Bye for now.